Well, hello there. Richard Tubb here with another episode of Tubb Talk, the podcast for IT consultants. Now, you'll know that this season we're focusing on speaking to IT solution providers and managed service providers just like you to understand what makes them tick. And specifically, we're speaking to the MSP companies that won awards in the recent MSP awards from SuperOps. So today I'm joined by Sarah Turner of IT Backbone, who won the award in the MSP with the most innovative marketing and sales campaign category of the MSP awards. Now, Sarah describes herself as a dynamic creative marketer and a data nosy Parker. She's a data-led decision maker and is somebody that MSPs can learn a lot from on the subject of marketing. Sarah, welcome to Tubb Talk.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So I guess before we dive in, help us understand a little bit more about your company, who you work with, what part of the world you operate in, and how many people are in your team, for instance.
Okay, so there's around a dozen of us. We are based in Kent and we work with a lot of Kent-based and Southeast businesses. A lot of companies we find, even if they don't need somebody on site, we often find that they quite like having somebody fairly local or nearby just in case. And sometimes one of our engineers will go to see clients to help them resolve on-site issues. So London and the Southeast, we provide IT support, cloud, migration, infrastructure, overhauls and builds, anything basically that clients need. And everybody is treated as an individual. It's inherent within our business.
Yeah, like
that everybody is absolutely. And so I think that helps us all live the same approach, that everybody is different. Everybody has an individual need as a business and as a business owner or as a stakeholder.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. And isn't it interesting, Sarah, I find, as a former MSP owner myself, small businesses like doing business with other local small businesses. So, even though we can do most of the support remotely, they like to have that local presence, don't they? So
absolutely, yeah. In actual fact, that's a really interesting point. One of our clients actually asked us about our business when we were going to meet them at a kind of prospective stage. And it was a really interesting question to me because it was asked as a standalone question, what sort of size is your company? And we were wondering what's behind them asking. And actually, we turned out to be a really good fit. And I think they didn't want somebody who was too small to service their business to a really high standard, but also it was really important to them that they didn't have a company that was so big that they were just another number. And they're really not. And I think that that was validated really early on, that we were the right fit because we were personable individuals. They kind of get to know our engineers. So yeah, that's a really, really good point that you've pulled up there.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm intrigued as well on a personal level. Today, as we're recording this, it's International Women's Day.
Yay!
What led you to work in the managed service provider industry? What was the path that you took?
I've always worked in marketing. So my degree was in marketing. And ever since I left university quite a long time ago, I've always worked in marketing roles. And the thing that led me to IT Backbone, I suppose, was the individual consultative approach that Jason, the founder, was very proud of, quite rightly, that the company delivers. And I really I've worked in a few IT companies over the course of my career. And I just really like the fact that I connected really strongly with Jason and Tony, the two directors. They were looking for a marketer who was a problem solver, could kind of take responsibility and ownership of all marketing activities, and were happy to kind of let that sit with me for decision-making, recommendations, analysis, iterations, everything. So it was that kind of the mix of, I've enjoyed previous IT roles that IT marketing roles that I've been in. But actually, I was very connected with Jason and Tony when I met them. So I really liked everybody is an individual. Everybody's services are as unique as their business is.
Yeah, I love that approach. We've got to jump into the marketing side of this. So you must be so pleased to win and it's a mouthful. So let me get this right here. The most innovative marketing and sales campaign award in the MSP Awards by SuperOps. So tell us, if you can, a little bit more about the specific campaign that you submitted for that award that won. And why do you think IT Backbone won?
Well, first of all, it was a massive, massive honour to be awarded the category winner. I was literally bouncing off the walls. It was incredible. The campaign that we submitted was a multi-channel campaign, and it was something that was a combination of direct mail, emails, and phone calls. We've also introduced into the sales and marketing process video, some really personalised follow-ups in terms of, if you have a meeting scheduled but they go quiet and it doesn't go ahead. So I think I'm a very analytical person and I love detail. So I'm very driven by understanding the data that sits behind any activity that we undertake. So I think it's easy enough to put something out there, but I think when you've got to stand apart from other people who might well be approaching marketing in a very kind of broad way, so they just throw loads of stuff and see what sticks kind of approach. We could do that, but we don't. We target people who are potentially a good fit location-wise maybe, or the size of business or the industry. We do treat everybody differently, although we have a broader approach to doing so in the marketing. So we'll approach people perhaps by location or industry vertical, or we might say, I might look at everybody who has had a meeting scheduled but didn't show up. Like, why didn't they show up? What was the customer journey like before their meeting? What was the quality of their response to the marketing campaign? So what was the nature of their reply? Was it something along the lines of, this is amazing timing, you've hit me at exactly the right moment, I've got an IT problem right now? Or was it something along the lines of, well, I suppose so, nothing to lose, you can show me what you can do? Was it, something? So I think the sentiment very much leads what we do further down the customer journey. And I think when I was applying for the award, I found it really hard to be able to explain our campaign. So I could spec out the detail of the campaign. Day 0 was a letter. Day 10 was an email 1. But that doesn't make a connection with any of the judging panel. And because of the wealth of experience and the names of everybody on the judging panel, I really wanted to demonstrate exactly what it was that the campaign was, because it's not so dry as we send out a letter and then we follow up on email. That's really not very inspiring. But what's inspiring is when we see people posting on LinkedIn with a screenshot of the pack that we'd sent them, for example, or someone replying and saying, "You've made my day." And I really wanted to capture that, because that's something I'm really proud that we can evoke in people. So I think the way that I did the submission, I wanted to show the pride and the individualism that we experience when we do get some positive engagement with our campaigns. So the way that I did that was I made a video, so I showed our story a little bit, and that's what I really wanted to demonstrate. Was it's not just a bullet pointed Word document of this was our campaign. I was like, this is the feedback. This is what we did. This is what the results were. This is what we learned. This is what's kind of coming next to a degree as well.
So this is gold. So much to unpack here, Sarah, and so many follow-up questions there. But the first thing I want to say is you've just explained, I guess what you've done right is what most MSPs, in my experience, do wrong with marketing, and they treat it in individual silos. So you talked about the joined up approach that you took towards the marketing. Anybody, we know that sending an email out or sending a direct mail out or making a phone call on its own is not going to, win you new customers. But if you take a joined up approach to it, it absolutely does work. And so I don't know whether you would agree. I often talk about like marketing is not an event; it's an ongoing process, and that consistency to it. So absolutely. I'm also intrigued. The joined up approach that you took, but I'm also intrigued how you manage by metrics. You look at what works and what doesn't work. And things of that nature. So tell me a little bit more, I guess, about your approach to, you explain yourself as a little bit of as a data geek. You love looking at the data behind things. I say that in the nicest possible way. But yeah, so tell me more about how you manage those marketing campaigns that you put out there. How do you work out what works and what doesn't?
It's really difficult, firstly. I think you just have to trust that a lot of activity isn't measurable. A lot of it, you just will never really truly know exactly what has generated somebody's response. I think it's also quite difficult because we work in an industry where it's not the kind of IT support is not the kind of service you just decide to go out looking for one day. It's the kind of service that you think, that's it. I've had enough of this company that I'm with currently. They're useless. They've said that they fixed it, and now it's a problem again. People have to have some sort of emotional response, I think, to really have that straw that breaks the camel's back to decide that they've had enough.
The pain of staying becomes greater than the pain of moving away at that point, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, very well said. And I think it's really difficult you can't predict what that point will be, what it looks like, and exactly when it will come. So I think what we aim to do is create marketing campaigns and marketing activity that keeps us present, available, demonstrates our knowledge, and just keeps us up to date on, we'll post content on LinkedIn or Twitter, and we just have to trust that all helps in a wider perspective of providing useful information. It's not like we sit on Twitter all the time and go, buy our services. Do you need Teams installing? Talk to us now, we can install it for you. Like, it's very easy to produce that kind of messaging.
Yeah.
But it's not, and that's the right way for some businesses to go. It's not the right way for us to go. And I think that what keeps us focused on the way that we are going with our marketing is that I very much lead everything by our brand values coming first.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode talking about the culture of IT Backbone as a business and that, because it sounds as though you've got it down pat and you're doing really well with that. And one of the things that I say to MSPs is about culture. It's not just a buzzword. It's not just something that you do internally. If done right, it can be something that attracts like-minded people to you. So as you said, when you joined IT Backbone as a company, you were attracted by the culture of the business. So it attracts good employees, but it also attracts really good customers, doesn't it? People who see what you're doing and say, we want to work with somebody like that. So I absolutely love that. Yeah. I want to dig a bit deeper in. So you described your approach in the business as being, customer experience and customer first. What does that mean in reality for you?
I don't want to sound like I'm kind of repeating, but I definitely think it's connected back to the brand values. So I think if your brand values are not customer first, you can't kind of fake it. If that's not inherent and it's got to be top down, you can't lead from the front, from first line support with a customer first approach unless it really comes from the top and it's embedded all the way, top, bottom, across the business. I think it's just not truly something that you can live every day unless everybody is living it as well. And I think that when you make a decision to recommend services to a particular client, for example, that's very much done as a customer first tactical activity. We have clients who will say, we trust your recommendations because you understand our business so deeply that we know, having worked with you for all this time, we know that you're recommending what's right for our business, not just any business. And so we have that trust established with clients. We could potentially, recommend a whole load of products or services or add-ons or subscriptions that people don't need. That would be in conflict with a customer first approach. And I think that there's obviously a business and a customer balance all the time, but we want customers, clients, people at the end of the day to work with us for the long term. And I think it's that customer first approach where we say, right, what problem are we helping you to solve? What's different? What does success look like? Why do you want to approach this project? What is it that's going to be new, fresh, old at the end of this? Because then we know that we're helping them to solve a problem. We're not just selling them stuff.
Yes, that absolutely makes sense. And again, a valuable lesson for any IT businesses listening to this. So we've talked a bit about the marketing side of things, obviously an amazing campaign that won you the award, and congratulations again on that. We've talked about the culture of the business there. Can we talk about the tools that you use? Can you give us a peek behind the scenes a little bit? So what tools do you use to help you with your marketing campaigns?
We use HubSpot as our CRM. So I kind of live in HubSpot. I've got a second home in there. I predominantly use HubSpot. I think it's great for reporting. You can go down so many rabbit holes when you start using dashboards and reports and filters, and you can start to establish trends over time, or you could start to measure kind of the difference in days between two certain touch points. I use Canva a lot, so I make visuals that I want to share with the rest of the business where I don't need to go into so much detail. So, for example, I produce our marketing roadmaps in Canva. So I've got a one-page guide that I can show anyone, and they can really quickly see exactly which high-level projects we're embarking on over the course of a quarter. I do it on. I use InVideo. So I've just started using that quite recently, and that's where I made our awards submission video, actually.
Oh, brilliant, yeah. How did you find that process?
It's a bit fiddly to get used to.
Yeah.
But I found my feet explore. I wanted to kind of, it sounds really cheesy, but go out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I had to explore how to use it, because I know that obviously video is everything and everywhere at the minute. So I thought, actually, it's not something that I need to go and do a huge in-depth course to learn. And it's something that, is very user-friendly, and I was able to get to grips with it. But the more that I learned, the more I kind of went poking around.
Yeah, makes sense. And we'll, for anybody listening to this and frantically scribbling down all the tools that Sarah's mentioned, please don't worry. We'll include everything in the show notes for this episode with links away there. Still on the subject of tools, though, how do these tools help you make those data-driven decisions that you talked about? What parts of your marketing are working and whatnot? What do those tools do for you in that?
I am very data-led. However, that said, data isn't always statistically significant. So I think there has to be a balance between using your intuition and saying, based on my experience and my understanding and my knowledge of what campaigns have previously worked or how the numbers have looked in the past, I tend to make decisions using both. So qualitative and quantitative data is really, really valuable. And sometimes, there'll be a campaign that you run that it doesn't work, and it's a real disappointment when it doesn't work, especially if you've come up with like a really great creative that everyone has been excited about, and then it just does nothing. However, I'm very iterative, so I'll always come away and evaluate if something hasn't worked. What was it? Was it, the time of year, the time of month? Was it the creative? I'll look at things like Hotjar sessions, perhaps, if we've sent campaign traffic to a landing page where we've put Hotjar code on.
So for the benefit of people who are not familiar with Hotjar, tell us what that does.
Oh, it's amazing and it's creepy all at the same time. It records web sessions anonymized, but it records web sessions so that you can see what user behavior is. So if you are looking at a whole bunch of numbers in Google Analytics, Hotjar is the kind of immeasurable element of website analysis that's missing from analytics. It allows you to see heat maps of where the mouse or the kind of scroll goes. My favourite part is rage clicks.
Rage clicks? What are rage clicks?
Rage clicks are where someone clicks and clicks and clicks because they expect something to be a link. They just keep going like click, 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 and then they can't, it's not a clickable.
Because if you click harder, we all know, or if you click more often, it's more likely to work.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Having said that, do you know what? It can be really handy because rage clicks can help you see where people expect to be able to navigate.
Right.
And if that is a really useful part of the website from a visitor perspective, but you haven't thought of it from a business perspective, it can actually be really handy because it can basically give you the gift of showing where some really quick wins could be on updating your website to make it a bit more valuable to visitors.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. We've just got Rage Clicks is a new one to me. Hotjar I was aware of, but and again, for anybody listening to this, we'll include links in the show notes to everything that Sarah's talked about, including Hotjar, and you can learn all about Rage Clicks as well. Now, obviously, this season we're speaking to award winners like yourself, Sarah, people who have companies that have won MSP awards by SuperOps. Where did you hear about the MSP awards by SuperOps? How did you find the entry process?
I think that I found it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I love the SuperOps content. I think they've done a fantastic job of immersing themselves in the industry. And again, it's through that value-added content. It's not just by our platform. We're here by our platform. It's great. It's shiny and new. Buy it. It's valuable. It's engaging. You can tell there's real people behind the business because of the language and the tone of voice that all of the content that they make available for potential customers to consume. It's really personable. It's really enjoyable to read as well. So I think that makes it easier to warm to a brand if you can, feel like you benefit or you enjoy reading what it is that they're putting out.
Yeah, makes sense.
I found the application process quite easy. Like I said, it was something that I made a video for because I really wanted to show the kind of tactile element of what our campaigns were and kind of tell the story. So I thought, actually, I can't do that just by writing out the elements of the campaign and, some of the numbers around what we've done. So I thought, actually, how can I make us stand out? How can I be innovative? Because that's what the award category included. So I was it made sense to me when I really thought about appealing to to the judging panel and standing out. I thought the simplest way for me to do that is to make it visual.
Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, I know you're going to inspire a lot of people, Sarah, but you've inspired me and my team personally as well. So
thank you.
your award entry, reminded us really that proposals and sharing information doesn't have to be just a document. It can be video, it can be images, it can be all sorts of different things. So we're actually putting a proposal together at a moment for a potential client, and we've gone in a different route, very similar to yourself, and we're putting it together as like a video and a presentation there. So
fantastic.
Thank you from me to you and your team for inspiring us on it. So
you're very welcome. That's great to hear.
What does winning an award like this mean for IT Backbone as a business? How are you utilizing, the good feeling that you've got off this award?
It's great to know that we're doing well. It's a real kind of, I would say that our values are our North Star. So we know exactly where we're going because our values keep us on the right track. It's great to have that recognition from such prestigious people in the industry. And it's real validation that, what we're doing actually is working and is something that we can be proud of. So everyone was really, really delighted when I shouted out the news and was bouncing off the walls and everything.
Would you recommend this type of award to other MSPs to enter? Because I know from being an MSP myself, people often think, we'll never win it. So, what was the process like for you? Would you recommend this to others?
Absolutely. And I think when I was looking through the categories to enter, there were the marketing and sales innovation category was the most logical one for me for us to enter because I knew that I could tell our story. People might resonate with another category, or they might think, I'll never win it, but they're never going to win it if they don't even enter.
Yes.
And I think the more you can stretch that comfort zone that people can tend to spend a lot of time in, the more you can stretch it, the further it stretches. And you're never going to win it if you don't try. And if you try, then that maybe gives you a little impetus to stretch a little more and try for something else. Or maybe you don't win it, but maybe you think, actually, that entry process taught me a lot and it gave me some questions or some kind of avenues that I want to explore.
Yeah. And we've already talked about SuperOps as a company, how you're a fan of their marketing. I am a huge fan as well. I think they're a really personable company. But so if the people from SuperOps are listening to this, I hope you run the awards again next year because it brings people like Sarah to the industry's attention. It rewards people like yourself, Sarah, who are doing incredible work that might otherwise go, sort of unspotted and that. And as I said, it does inspire other people as well. So SuperOps, keep this going for next year.
Yes,
Sarah,
definitely. Do you know what I think?
Go ahead.
No, I think would be really helpful. I would love to see a forum where the winners and entrants get to learn from other category winners and entrants as well.
Wow, that's a really good idea. And
I think that'd be amazing to do because I'd love to hear things like the community award winner, for example.
Yeah.
I think that's like, what can I learn? What is there that we could maybe try? Or it's really interesting hearing about growth or sustainability, or literally so many other perspectives of running a business. And I think it would be amazing to get all those people in the same space.
I think that's a brilliant idea, and I'm going to mention that to Arvind, who's the CEO at SuperOps, pass that along. But here's something that I will say we will do as well, Sarah. So we're lucky enough to be able to interview people like yourself, all of the the awards winners from the SuperOps Awards. We're going to put together an ebook of this entire series of all the advice from yourself and other people, put it together in a book there. So hopefully MSPs can benefit from that as well. So you've inspired me with that. I've just said that out loud. Of course, it's not going to be me doing it, Sarah. It's the team. So there you go. The team.
Go team.
We'll put that forward. But yeah, that's a really good idea on SuperOps about getting the winners together to talk more openly about it.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be good. I guess back to you personally, I'm intrigued now. What have you found the most challenging about marketing an IT business?
I think potentially the length of the sales journey.
Right.
But also the fact, like everybody knows, you don't just go out looking for a new MSP for fun. It's not just something you decide to do one day for a lot of businesses. So I think until that pain point is hugely problematic, companies aren't necessarily primed to want to hear from you and engage with you. So I think that can be quite challenging. But, it goes back to being valuable and sharing content and consuming other people's content as well. And, just kind of offering value, offering different perspectives and thoughts and, engaging with other professionals within the industry to kind of learn and share and just kind of, you just got to hang in there, really, I think.
Yeah. And you've touched upon a number of different things. The length of the sales cycle for MSPs can be difficult. The other thing we realized is that, clients put up with a lot of pain off some pretty poor IT providers, actually.
Yeah.
Until things get too bad. And as you said earlier on in our conversation, the straw that broke the camel's back, and then they're going to start looking. And so, state of mind with clients, potential clients, is really, really powerful, because you don't know when that moment's going to come that they decide, we've had enough of these guys. We're going to speak to Sarah and the team at IT Backbone. So, yeah. What about on the flip side of it? What would you say is your favourite thing about marketing an MSP?
I think it's very close to it being a really long journey, actually, because when somebody does engage, it's really exciting. Yeah. So I think that when somebody does respond to marketing or say, we might get a message from somebody who says, I've seen your LinkedIn content. That got me thinking, I'd like to meet up with you. That is so rewarding, because we know that the long game is working.
Yeah. And I don't know if you get this, Sarah, just speaking out loud, I've been blogging for like 20 hours, and then there's periods that I go through where I'm like, I'm not sure anybody's reading this. I'm not sure anybody's out there. And then all of a sudden somebody gets in touch and says, hey, I've been reading your stuff for the past 6 months or 3 years or whatever.
Yes.
Conversation. Does that happen to you, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you know what? Our MD, Jason, yesterday and I were messaging. He'd had a very similar kind of message from somebody. He'd seen a post on LinkedIn and messaged him. And I was really excited, because it was like, yes, it's working. It does work.
The system works.
Yes.
But now, you've worked at a few different IT companies. Obviously, you're very happy at IT Backbone.
Yeah.
In your experience, what is the biggest mistake that you think MSPs, IT companies as a whole, make when it comes to marketing?
I think it's a very easy and common mistake, but I think not marketing for long enough. So you might have a campaign that runs and say it doesn't generate any leads, or you don't get any, but whatever your definition of a lead is, the campaign doesn't deliver leads, or the volume of leads perhaps that you were hoping for it to. It doesn't necessarily mean that it hasn't worked. It just means it hasn't worked now. And I think it's very easy to then switch to something else.
Yeah.
Or to stop it. If it's a longer campaign that, say, I don't know, like you're running it for 6 months, whatever that looks like maybe, and then, that 6 month period doesn't bring you any leads or meetings or new contracts, whatever kind of goals and targets you have for the campaign, I think you just got to keep going.
Yeah, got to have some faith there. And
absolutely.
And be consistent with it.
Yeah, definitely. You never know when somebody is going to read your content at the right time.
Yeah, that makes sense. You are clearly a student of the game, so to speak, that you're a student of marketing. You show such a passion for it. Let me ask you this, Sarah, where would you like your marketing efforts to be in, say, 18 months' time?
I think our North Star continues to be our values guiding our direction. It keeps us aligned to our potential clients. It also helps us understand if maybe some companies aren't the right fit for us, which is just as valuable as understanding the companies that are right for us. I'd just like to see us continuing to succeed, continuing to evoke emotion and generate contact from people who are interested in what we do, and just to kind of keep growing it, really.
Yeah. What about obstacles getting in the way? What would you say are the potential challenges that might stop you, achieving your marketing goals over the next 18 months?
I think it's that longevity piece again. I think it's the journey being so long, and the emotion isn't always there throughout a lot of it. You know, everybody's pain points are different in a different business, and their kind of tolerance levels as well are all different. You know, somebody might put up, like you say, for years with a terrible IT support service, but then they might just snap one day and decide that that's it, they've had enough.
Yeah.
Someone else could last maybe a year, 6 months. So I think because you can't control that, the thing I always aim to do is to be invested in the long game. So just keep going, and keep going with activities that align to your values. Because then you know that you're delivering what's unique about your business.
Yeah, such valuable advice, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that with the audience. I'm really intrigued as well. Who influences Sarah Turner? Have you got any mentors? What about like authors, speakers who have made an impact on your life?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I tend to subscribe to a few because I know then that I'll be able to consume the episodes realistically, rather than subscribing to a big, massive number of them and never getting to listen to any.
I hear you.
So at the minute, I would say I listen to Mel Robbins a lot. I think she's amazing. She's got a new podcast that she started last year. I love it. It's phenomenal. Jay Shetty, another one.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins has also got a book that I've read recently called The High Five Habit. And I use her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule quite often. She's got some fantastic talks on motivation is garbage. I think one of her favourites is. There's nothing to do with work or development or anything, but there's a podcast called Feel Better, Live More that I love. That's by have you heard of it?
Yeah, is that Dr. Chatterjee?
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
That was actually recommended to me by another MSP.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Paul Crooks, who runs an MSP in Carlisle, recommended it to me. But wonderful. Have you read Dr. Chatterjee's books as well that go along with it?
I have, yeah. And I've also bought a lot that he's of the guests that he's interviewed on his podcast. So there's an amazing one called Indistractable, and it's fantastic. And James Clear, Atomic Habits, that's another one. Yeah. I've read that half a dozen times at least, I think.
Yeah.
I love reading. Reading's a treat. Reading's like a special experience that I just like I really look forward to it. That's my kind of way of relaxing. And
well, thank you for sharing those influences on you as well, because what we'll do, we'll include them in the show notes, because people are always interested in what's the next podcast, what's the next book that I should read. And you mentioned James Clear, Dr. Chatterjee, and so many other things there, Mel Robbins. We'll include them all in the show notes. But I guess we're approaching the end of our time together, Sarah.
Yes.
So,
it's gone really quickly.
You have delivered so many value bombs for our listeners, so many different types of knowledge that people can run and take and run with within their business. And again, we were connected thanks to the amazing MSP Awards by SuperOps.
Yes.
Congrats again on winning that award.
Thank you.
As we come to the end of our time, have you got any golden pieces of advice to give to budding MSPs who want to win an award like this one day?
I would say enter, even if you're not in a position where you feel confident that you could win it. I think it's the entering. I think it's if people are maybe thinking, I haven't got the confidence to enter, I would say you don't just naturally have confidence. You
Yes.
build confidence by doing. So I would say by taking the action, embracing the challenge, that's how you get the confidence after you've got the competence. You know, you take all the steps and you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, unfamiliar surroundings. I say just do it and learn as much as you can about your own business and the process and the questions that you're answering throughout an entry process as well.
That is mind-blowingly good advice there. And that is the soundbite of the year that you've just got. You get the confidence after you get the competence. I love that approach there. Really, really good. I should say, just as a sort of a closing note, when I ran my MSP business and when we entered awards, we were really nervous. But I would just reiterate what Sarah's just said there, that actually winning the award or not winning the award is not the point. It's going through the process of delivering the award entry that reminds you all the things you're doing well. And secondly, reminds you of the things that you can do even better in the future. So it's a real learning experience, isn't it? Just entering for an award.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also, you know, you could just by entering, you can ask and answer uncomfortable questions you're probably not willing to do every day.
Yes.
You know, whether or not you are successful in winning an award it's not really the most valuable thing that you can learn. The most valuable thing is learning what you can do differently or what you can improve or what you can try or change. And I think, you know, if you pull out those actions and those insights through entering an award, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you're going to have made a lot of new fans through this episode, people listening to you. So I know if anybody wants to reach out to you personally, Sarah, to continue the conversation, or if they want to take a look at what you're doing with the business, where can they find you on the social media and all those things? Okay, so Twitter, we're on @IT Backbone. We're on there sort of daily. I'm not, I don't have the capacity to be on there as often as I'd quite like to be, but we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. So our company page is IT-Backbone-Limited, all in a proper word. Yep. And me, I'm on LinkedIn as Sarah-Turner-IT-Backbone. Brilliant. So I think you're going to be inundated with requests from, you're going to pick up a lot of new followers and being that. So I'd encourage anybody listening to this, if you've been inspired as I have by Sarah's story here and then what they're achieving at IT Backbone, reach out to her, continue the conversation, because this is a lady who knows what she is talking about. Sarah, this has been a real treat for me. I hope you've enjoyed this as well. I've had a blast. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. I've loved it. Thank you, Sarah. Hey folks, Richard here. Thanks for listening today. I know you've got a ton of options for who you listen to nowadays, so I really appreciate your support. Do you have any feedback on this episode? Ideas for future guests? Tweet me at Tubblog using the hashtag TubbTalk. I respond to every tweet and really appreciate your feedback. Hey team, this is Richard again. Just one more thing before you take off, and that is MSP Insights. Now, every Tuesday, I share my thoughts on the business of IT with you, the managed service community. Thousands of managed service providers already subscribe to MSP Insights. It's easy to sign up, easy to cancel. MSP Insights is basically a short email from me every Tuesday without fail with advice on growing your IT business, plus cool resources I've found, discovered, or started exploring that week. It's kind of like my diary of cool things and often includes articles or books I've read, tools I've discovered, and events I think you'd be interested in, often sent to me by my friends and Tubb Talk podcast guests. So if that sounds fun, a short tiny bite of MSP goodness every Tuesday, and you'd like to try it out, just go to go.tubb.co/Tuesday. That's go.tubb.co/Tuesday. Drop in your email and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening.